In today's video, I'm going to share with you an array of companies that will pay you dividends every single month. I'm also going to cover some of the pros and some of the cons of investing in monthly paying dividend stocks, and right at the end, we will talk about why a lot of these companies tend to be REITs. Just before we get into it, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, and just for transparency, I do not invest in any of these companies at the moment myself. With all that out the way, let's now talk about why monthly dividend payers are good. As a dividend investor, you probably want to try and get somewhat of a livable income eventually out of your dividend payments. So a passive income that will cover your living costs without you having to do anything at all. That's most dividend investors' dream. So stocks that are going to pay you every single month are quite good in the sense that it's a predictable income. And it makes it somewhat easier for you to budget and for you to know whether or not you're able to cover all of your monthly expenses. If you have the goal of being able to cover your rent or your mortgage payments each month through your dividend passive income investing portfolio, and you know that your rent or your mortgage costs £600 every single month, then you know that if you can get a portfolio of monthly dividend paying stocks that accumulate to £600 each and every month at least, you can easily know that that expense is covered. Of course, this is just a point of pure convenience and ease, because if you did some groundwork, you could also find companies that pay quarterly or even biannually, yearly, and just select ones to cover each month. You could also do it that way. I think the main benefit and the main pro of getting companies that pay you monthly dividends is how you can compound faster. Putting this simply, the more often you receive dividends, the more often you can reinvest those dividends to buy more shares into a company, and the quicker and faster the snowballing effect will happen in order to increase your shares within a company, which will then eventually increase your dividend income as well. So those are some points about why monthly paying dividends may be good, but of course we should also be unbiased and discuss why they may be bad. They may be a value trap and may not be a good investment at all. They could be trying to lure investors in by offering a monthly dividend, just like with some of these companies that offer really high dividend yields. Sometimes it can be too good to be true. And of course, if you see a company offering a very, very high dividend yield and they're going to pay you monthly, be even more cautious. I think a lot of monthly dividend paying stocks also have a lot of risk that come with investing into them. But as always, just do your own full analysis and do your own research before putting your money into these companies. Alrighty, let's now talk about the companies that will pay monthly dividends. I'm going to split this into two sections. I'm going to firstly do a section on stocks, so just your average companies that will pay you monthly dividends. And then I'm going to do a little section on REITs, because a lot of companies that pay you monthly dividends actually fall into the REIT category. So I've sort of separated that and I'll share a few of them in a moment. But let's first talk about the companies that are not REITs that will pay you monthly dividends. Up first, we have a company called Horizon Technology Finance. As the name gives away, this company sits within the financial and investment sector. And they lend to and they invest in development stage companies in a few different sectors such as life sciences and healthcare. Over the last 5 years, Horizon have been up by 34.07%. They have a dividend yield currently at 7.9%, but what I will say is they have not increased their dividend payments for the last 5 years. They've remained the same. Next up, we have Main Street Capital. Again, this is a company within the investment financial sector. They tend to lend money or invest directly into small businesses. Over the last 5 years, this stock has been up by 4.24%, so nothing crazy there. Their dividend yield is 6.2%, and from the data that I have access to, I can see that they've been slowly and gradually increasing their dividend payout from 2012. The final stock we have before we move on to the REITs is PEMBINA Pipeline. This company is within the energy sector, and it's a Canadian company that, from what I understand, owns pipelines and transports gases and oils. Over the past 5 years, this stock is down by 2.29%. Their dividend yield is 6%, and they have been increasing their dividend payout to investors, but it has remained the same during 2020 and 2021. Now we come to the REITs section. If you know anything about dividend investing, I'm pretty sure you can guess which stock I'm going to share with you first. If you have an idea of what monthly dividend paying stock that is a REIT that I'm probably going to share with you, pause this video and comment below. This first one is probably the most popular and most loved monthly paying company, and that is Realty Income Corp. This is an S&P 500 company, and many investors, especially investors looking for dividend income, will have this one in their portfolio. Over the last 5 years, they have been up by 29.48%. Their dividend yield is 4.6%, and they have been really good at increasing their dividend payout every single year. That is why they're one of the dividend aristocrats. I've actually read that they've increased their dividends 114 times since they went public on the stock exchange in 1994. I'm not really sure how we're going to follow on from that one, but next is a UK listed REIT, and that is EDISON Investment Property Company. And they invest in commercial property throughout the UK. Over the past 5 years, they've been down by 27.58%. They have a dividend yield of 7.7%, and they have not been increasing their dividend payout. We then have AGNC Investment. Over the past 5 years, they've not done too well and are down by just over 34%. Their dividend yield is extremely high at 11.1%. So this may not be such a good sign. It's definitely a company you're going to want to do a lot of research into. Just because, as I said, sometimes a really high dividend yield can actually be a bit of a value trap and may not be as good as it seems. And unfortunately, this company has also been decreasing their dividends. We have one more REIT to talk about, and then we'll talk about why there are so many REITs that will pay you monthly. The last one on the list is STAG Industrial. This is a REIT that focuses on warehouses and industrial spaces. They've done really well over the past 5 years, and they've been up over 50%. Their dividend yield is 3.8%, and although the graph that is on the screen right now doesn't really show it, they have been slowly and gradually increasing their dividends. When you go onto Google or YouTube and you search for monthly paying dividend stocks, you will often see that a lot of these stocks are what is called a REIT. I've done a whole video on these before, so I'm not going to dive into what exactly that is. If you do want to know, then please check out my video. I'll pop it up here somewhere. But basically, a REIT has to pay 90% of its revenue back to the investors, and that's for tax reasons. For investors, this could mean consistent, relatively high paying amounts. REITs are popular monthly dividend payers, and I think this may be because they obviously collect their rent monthly from their tenants or from their clients, and then they're required to pay 90% of that, as I just said, back to their investors. So it could be a way to just easily, get rid of that money so they're keeping within their tax laws. I think that if they just distribute their monthly income every single month to their investors, it's probably a little bit simpler in terms of the tax complexities. If you want to know what the best aristocrat dividend paying stocks are, click here.